What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Knights and Summons video. So you're gonna notice in the next video that we post that we mentioned that we're gonna talk about the instruction booklet. Disregard that. We're gonna talk about it right here, right now. In the next video, you guys will see the setup of cards and that type of stuff. First turn, I believe, and other stuff like that. But in this video, we are going to be taking a look at the instruction booklet, as you can see here, as well as explaining the different types of cards in the game. Okay, so we're going to take it step by step with each card type. Okay, so we're going to begin with knights. Okay, now as you can see here, which is pretty interesting actually, you do have the beta version of the cards here, which shows the original crystal, which is different than they are now, but essentially everything is the same on the cards. A representing the crystal affiliation, so this one is a water type, you can see up there. B, it says this text box will show you each knight's base damage. Okay, so here's his base damage at the very top. That's how much it can do every single turn, which in this case happens to be 10 damage, followed by any bonuses and abilities. Every knight has a once per life ability, which can be used once per game. In order to activate this ability, you must tap your knight once per turn, once per life. Ability must reset every time you die and get a new knight. Okay, so I'll show you guys what that means in future videos. But for now, let's go ahead and move on. C is just some flavored text. What is this? And D, so that symbol also represents the knight. Okay, so I will show you guys what I mean by all of that right here. Now, I want to show you guys the little tile knight as well. As you can see here, that symbol is always going to represent the knights. This is the affiliated attribute, which is earth in this case. Here's his little tile, which you can use to see where you are on the field. His base damage, every card has a base damage right at the very top. If you were to cut off everything else, that's how much damage he just does every single time. But he also gets some bonuses. For example, this one gets plus 10 damage to water attributes and creature cards. Some cards have little text at the bottom that says whether it's a creature, a mythical monster, or an elemental. Okay, and then that's his tap ability. Each knight does have a once per life tap ability, which again I will show you guys how that works in the future. I've already created the videos. This is actually the initial one that I needed to make. But yeah, tap once per life, retrieve an equipped card from the discard pile, which is an incredible ability. Later down in the game, when people have been throwing I don't know, powerful axes into discard pile that you need, you can just go ahead and retrieve them completely for free. So that is your knight cards right there. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which happens to be summon cards. Okay, so again, affiliation up here, the symbol that represents him, base damage, okay, plus bonuses. Now C, okay, let's look at C. Fusion symbol. Some cards have the capability of fusing. If you happen to have the correct cards to fuse, you can combine the damage of each card. You fuse cards by placing them on top of each other while on your field. In this case, you would need to be wearing a dark helmet to first place this dark sprite on your field. Then you can fuse either another dark sprite or a fire sprite on top of this card. There's no limit to how many cards you can fuse and stack on top of each other while fusing. That is, I love that mechanic in this game, because it just, you know, sometimes people want to collect the sprites to try to make a more powerful sprite. They can become way more powerful than even an epic sprite. I mean an epic summon. And then you got some flavor text at the bottom, which in this case, I believe all sprites should say the same thing. Let me double check. These are all the Earth summon cards in the base game. You got the Relic Spirit, the Earth Elemental, and the Earth Raptor. Now each one has its base damage, as you can see here, and then they have a bonus effect. So this one says, let's see. So this one says, when summoned, retrieve any light summon card from the discard pile. So that could be very strategic. Maybe you don't want to play him right away because you want to wait till there's a good light summon card in the discard pile before you play him. This one says, 40 base damage, plus 10 damage to any water attribute. If this card is on your field, meaning if you have an Earth Helmet and you put this card on your field, then he gets an additional effect, which is, if this card is on your field, you can activate the following effect. Tap, plus 10 damage to any fire attribute. So if he's tapped, he can also do plus 10 damage to fire attributes, which is really cool. And this one is 40 damage. When summoned, look at another player's hand and steal a card. I love this card because it's an Earth Raptor. I could just imagine it like in real life, summoning it, going and like stealing something from your opponent. I love that. And then some flavor text at the bottom. The Earth Raptor's draws are so powerful that it has the ability to snatch any card from any opponent. Love that. And then here are the Earth sprites. Now I'll go ahead and tell you guys what the fusion actually looks like. So this does base damage of 10, and then the bonus effect is plus 10 damage to water attributes. So if you're going up against a water monster, you do plus 10 damage. So it'll be 20 instead of 10. Confused with Earth and Light Sprite. So basically, if you were to have an Earth helmet on the field, I'll show you guys what these mean in a second. But if you have that on the field, you can place an Earth Sprite on your field and it'll remain there, right? But if you have another Earth Sprite, you can also place it on top of it. And now instead of having 10 damage, it has 20 damage plus the additional effect of only the top one. Okay, so this has 20 damage now, automatically base, plus 10 damage to water attributes. Okay, now if we were, you can also fuse a let me see, I have one here to the side. You can also fuse a light summon on top of that one. Okay, so if you have it on your field, you would have to have an Earth Helmet for the bottom card, and then you can fuse a light summon, a light sprite, because it does have the ability to fuse to an Earth or light. So you place it, and now you have a light sprite, you fuse that on top. Okay, now what happens is this. You have combined damage of all of them. So 10 plus 10 plus 20. So now it's a 40 damage sprite or summon on your field with the added benefit of the top card. So plus 10 damage to dark attributes. So it'll be 40 plus 10 to dark. And now you can fuse light or water on top of this one. You can no longer fuse Earth because that is no longer the top sprite, but you could fuse another light or a water one on top of this one, and so on. So if we were to fuse, let me put this down. If we were to fuse, let's say, a water sprite on top of that, then you can no longer fuse a light on top of that. You can now fuse a water or a dark. And it can get really, really, really powerful because there's 5 of each sprite in the game. So it could get really, really powerful. Let me go ahead and put those aside. Now, I will mention one more thing about sprites, guys. And this will be important later on when you start playing the game. Your hand is called your inventory, right? And you can't have more than 10 cards in your inventory. You have to imagine it like real life. Like, if you have a backpack, you cannot carry more than a certain amount of stuff. So you cannot have more than 10 cards in your field. But however, you can if you have cards on your field, like let's say you have a sword on your field and you have another sword here, and you come across a monster that says you know, unaffected by Earth unaffected by Earth equip cards, and you have an Earth, like let's say armor, and you have another armor on your field, on your inventory, you can take the armor from your field, put it back in your inventory, and take the armor and put it on your field now. Now, with summons, okay, I will explain it on the next one because that's where the helmets are. With summons, if you have a summon card on your field, okay, equipped with a Earth helmet, and you want to take back your helmet onto your inventory, you will lose your summon card. Okay, I'll explain what that means right now, but here we go. Let's go into the equip card so I can explain what that means. Okay, so here's the equip cards. I'll show you guys right over here. Equip cards. This is the symbol that signifies equip cards. That's the affiliation. B right here, one-handed. That is important. It says some equip cards might have extra text under the name that will say either one-handed or two-handed. You can have up to 1 two-handed equip card or 2 one-handed equip cards on your field at any given time. Very important, okay, guys? Right here. Oh, E, this is also very important, okay? Now, it looks different now with the final version because you see the actual crystal instead of the old style, but it's the same thing. E. It says, all equip cards will have this bonus symbol, which represents the plus 10 damage bonus given to any knight equipped with its corresponding attribute equip card. In this case, if an earth knight were to be equipped with this card, it would receive an additional plus 10 damage. So if you do have an earth knight, if you're playing with an earth knight and you have an earth equip card on your field, you get a plus 10 damage. Okay, now you can equip the earth armor to any knight, but it won't get that plus 10 damage. In this case, if let's see, let me show you. If this were equipped to a water knight, then it would have 10 plus 50. It would be 60 base damage. Now, if it's equipped to an earth knight, it's 70 base damage because of the plus 10 damage. Okay, so that's what that means. Now, the more you have equipped, the more plus 10 damages you get. So it'll get a plus 10 for this, and it'll get a plus 10 for that, and it can get an extra plus 10 for this. It could get really powerful. That's one strategy that you can do. You can equip all of the same to your knight, or you can mix and match with different armors just in case you do come across, like if you have your earth knight equipped with nothing but earth equip cards, and then you come across a monster like this that says unaffected by all earth equip and earth summon cards, then you're in a lot of trouble. Alright guys, let me explain these different cards right here. Now you got the armor. All cards in the base game will do the same exact thing, but just differently, okay? So all armors will do the same thing. All helmets will do the same thing. So I only have to explain one. Alright, it has a base damage, plus 10 to whatever the corresponding knight. Plus 10 damage to water attributes. That's just a bonus. Now all armors do the same thing. Tap, flip a coin. If heads, retrieve any earth summon card from the discard pile. If tails, discard this card. So that essentially means that you can have this card on your field, okay? And let's say you come across a scenario where you cannot defeat a monster. You can risk tapping this card, flipping a coin, and retrieving a summon card from the discard pile that will, give you, like, let's say this is on the discard pile. Now you have an extra 40 damage to be able to defeat the monster. Okay, but that comes with a little bit of a risk, because if you hit tails, you lose your card, and now you have even less damage, and you might die in that case, unless you have like a backup armor that you can put down. There's a lot of strategy behind it, but just keep that in mind. Also, another thing that I want to mention, only equip cards have this experience point at the bottom. I believe I did add it here. So let me show you guys. See? F. Okay. So it says F. Experience points. This amount represents how much trade in value the card has. You need a total of 300 experience to discard it for a free prize. Refer to the card types. Let's see. So total of 300 experience to discard it for a 1 prize. Refer to the card types monster page for prizes. Okay, so it's basically saying go look at the monster page to know what prizes means. But yeah, if you guys watch the following videos, you guys will know how to utilize those prizes. But essentially, you're able to do that once per turn. Okay, so if you have, I didn't write that on the rule book, so I'm gonna have to like fix that. But you can discard cards in your inventory that you might not need. Let's say you have 2 earth armors in your inventory. Let me go ahead and grab. Oh, you know what? Let's say you have this. Let's say you have a water armor and a earth armor, and you don't need both. Okay, and you need to fight a monster, but you need more damage because you can't wear 2 armors at the same time. So you don't need both. You can discard the card. You can discard this card and draw 1 card because it has 300 experience points. Some of them have less. Okay, so these ones, for example, this has 200 and 100. So you would have to discard both of these to be able to draw one card. Okay, and that's once per turn. You can do that once per turn. Just a way to retrieve more cards for free. All right, so that is... Oh, I haven't showed you everything. Okay, so helmets. Now, what helmets do, remember, they all do the same thing. They're one of my favorite cards in the entire game. They say, while wearing this helmet, you can have a summon card of the same attribute as the helmet remain on your field. You can discard this card from your hand or field to negate an effect directed to you by a water knight. Now, like I said, all helmets do the same exact thing, except different. For example, here is a fire one. Now, obviously, bonus to fire knights, bonus to earth knights. This one says you can have a fire summon remain on your field. This one, an earth summon remain on your field. Now, this one says you can discard this card to negate, discard it from your hand or field to negate an effect directed to you by an earth knight. So this one protects you from earth knights and this one protects you from water knights. Okay, now if you're playing a 2-player game and you're facing up against a light knight, this is gonna like be irrelevant. However, if you happen to have the correct helmet in your hand, you can also discard it from your hand to negate that effect. So I'm trying to find... Okay, here we go. So if let's say, for example, you're coming up against a dark knight, right? And you're an earth knight. So let's say you have this on your field already equipped, but you have this on your hand, and they try doing something to you, like they tap their knight and they can steal a card from your field. Now all of a sudden you can discard this card and be like, nope, negate. Okay, so they're just negates as well. Okay, now you have your swords. Same for every attribute, they do the same thing. So this is 20 damage plus 10 to earth, plus 20 damage to water attributes. You can discard this card to retrieve one light sprite from the discard pile. Now, different swords will let you retrieve different sprites from the discard pile. And then this one is, axes are always way stronger than swords. 50 damage plus 10 to earth, plus 10 damage to water attributes. You can discard this card to retrieve any light equipped card from the discard pile. They all do the same thing. Like the water one will do something different. You'll be able to retrieve something different, but they essentially do the same thing. Now, keep in mind that only swords and axes at the moment say one-handed and two-handed. That essentially means that you have to look at it like real life, right? So you can have an earth axe on your field. That means that you cannot equip to yourself an earth sword because you're holding your axe with two hands, so you don't have another hand to hold your sword. However, if you had two swords of any attributes, you can have a light sword and an earth sword. You can have both of them equipped to your field. I'm trying to find one right here for you guys real quick. Give me one sec. Okay, here we go. So you can have two swords remain on your field. See, one-handed. But you cannot have an axe and a sword unless you have equipped to your field a summoner's hand. While this card remains on your field, you can have equipped up to one single-handed weapon and one double-handed weapon. So this allows you to have that and that on your field at the same time if you have this equipped to your hand. Okay, but I'll move on to what those are in a second, but those are essentially equip cards right here. Moving on, crystal summons. Crystal summons are really cool because they're essentially summon cards. Okay, you play them, but they're meant to be like powerful summons that grant their user a powerful effect. So for example, these all do different things, right? Imagine that there's a summon in there and it kind of like grants you a wish, kind of like a genie does, right? That's why these are called jinns inside of these. But these do powerful effects. Some of them are instant, some of them are continuous. See, instant, continuous. All right. So for example, Summoner's Hand says, while this card remains on your field, you can have equipped up to one single-handed weapon and one double-handed weapon. We already explained what that means. Divine Succor, upgrade plus 10 damage to your knight or cure a continuous curse. So this card stays on your field, and it just gives you a plus 10 damage. You can stack these as well, okay? There's multiple Divine Succors. You can stack them onto your field, and it'll just give you a plus 10 damage for each one. And then if you were to come across a continuous curse that's supposed to stay on your field from drawing into the monsters deck, you can discard this and cure the curse. Take over another player's monster battle. If you defeat it, take its prize. This basically steals a turn from another player. Let's say they draw into a 100 damage monster, and you know that you can defeat it really easily. You play this card, it's instant, and they lose their turn, and you get to defeat the monster and take the prizes. And then it becomes your turn right after that. So you steal their turn essentially, and then it's your turn right after that. All right. Savage Growth, double the attack and reward of any monster battle. This card is super cool and super clutch in many scenarios, because not only can you use it on your opponent, like if they have a level 200 damage monster, and they can easily defeat it, but they're gonna gain 4 prizes. Okay, you can play this card, which will turn the monster from a 400 damage monster to a 200 damage monster to a 400 damage monster, and all of a sudden they can't defeat it. So they're either gonna die, or you can negotiate to help them because the prizes double. Okay, on a 200 damage monster, it's typically four prizes that you can win. So all of a sudden it becomes 400 damage with 8 prizes. Okay, so all of a sudden, let me show you guys what I mean. So if they're facing this monster and they can easily kill a 200 damage monster, but you play this card, it becomes a 400 damage monster with 8 prizes. So now they either have to try to defeat a 400 damage monster, but they will get 8 prizes, or now you can tell them, hey, I'll help you out, and give me, I don't know, negotiate with them for half of the prizes, 4 of them, or whatever. Sometimes they don't want to negotiate, and they're like, you know what, I'd rather die because I'm not about to give you any prizes. But or sometimes they're like, you know what, I'll do it if you help me out for 2 prizes or whatever. Moving on, we move on to I already showed you the crystal summons. That's the affiliation, which this blue crystal means that they have no affiliation. That means that they're just a crystal card. That's the symbol for crystals. That is the effect that they do, and a little bit of flavor text. This shows you whether it's a instant or a continuous that stay on your field. Continuous always stays on your field. And last but not least, we have monsters. Monsters show affiliation. This is their symbol. This is base damage plus what they do. This shows you whether they're a creature, a mythical, or an elemental. This tells you how many prizes you can take when you defeat it. And right here, if it is a mini boss, it will say it's a mini boss. Some cards interact with mini bosses, other ones don't. But these are what monsters look like right here. You have weak monsters with 100 damage. There's some that say unaffected by all earth summon cards, or like unaffected by all fire summon cards, or unaffected by all water summon cards, and so on. And there's some that say unaffected by all earth equipped cards, or earth or fire equipped cards, and so on. So you just have to read that text right there to see what it is unaffected by. And you have 200 damage monsters, but these are unaffected by earth equip and earth summon cards, so both of them. So if you have earth summon cards and earth equip cards, they're completely useless against this monster. You have to use something different to defeat it. And then you have mini bosses, which I've already created the videos to show how insane these guys can be, and how to defeat them and what happens if you die. But they are very powerful. 300 damage unaffected by all earth equip and earth summon cards. If you are an earth knight, you are dead. Basically, you're gonna need a lot of help. So these are monsters that you can find in the monster deck. And then you have curse cards. Curse cards can either be instant or continuous. This one is a blood loss curse. Do 10 less damage in battle. This stays on your field, and unless you have something like this card right here, which cures the curse, which would mean it discards, it remains on your field, and it just damages you the whole way. Let's see. I thought that was the last card, but it's not. Okay, we moved on to the curses, and then now we have the tile cards. Tile cards are my absolute favorite thing about the game. Like I said, I've already created the videos. You guys just have to check the next following one to see how to set up and how to play. But these are so amazing, guys. There's going to be expansions made with these that do different things. But when you land on them, they can either be good or bad, and you never know what you're going to land on. It's like a dungeon. You're going into different rooms, and you never know what you're going to come across. I love, love, love tile cards. For example, this one says, discard any equipped summon card on your field. If you have a fused summon card, just discard the top fused card. So this is a bad one. If you were to land on it, remember, you would land on it backwards. So you land on it, then you flip it, and then it activates the effect. So you would lose your summon card if you have one equipped. And then last but not least, this is one that's not in the actual instruction booklet for some reason. I guess I just mixed them in with the monsters. But these are boss monsters. They do have the crystal back. Okay. These are boss monsters. The meanest, greenest fighting machines. Well, not all of them are green because they have different attributes. But yeah. Whew. These go at the end of the game. Okay. You have to shuffle all the boss monsters. Again, I've already explained it in the next video. So do not worry. Go check that out and you will know what they do. But these are the strongest cards in the game that you have to face up against. You have to be very careful not to go into the boss monster before you are 100% ready. Because, for example, if this card is at the end of the field, right, face down, and you're like, okay, you defeat the monster before it, right? And then you move on to the boss monster and you flip it, and you have to fight it, and you happen to be an Earth Knight with like all Earth equipped cards. This is gonna wreck you 100%. Boss monsters, you cannot ask for help. You have to fight boss monsters all on your own. Only anything that comes out of the monster deck can you ask for help with. But boss monsters, you are 100% on your own. You have to defeat it on your own to win the game. So you have to do 310 damage base on this card. Okay, so that means that you have to do 320 damage to defeat it, because you always have to do 10 damage more to defeat the card. So this one says 310 damage plus 10 damage to water knights. Okay, unaffected by all earth and water equipped cards. See, this one doesn't just become unaffected by earth cards, also water cards. Okay, unaffected by all earth and water equipped cards and all water summon cards. That is very powerful, guys, because if you happen to have water summon cards on your hand that you are ready to use up against the boss monster, which water summon cards would have worked great on this guy but not on this guy, you know what I mean? Like, you just don't know what you're gonna face. Like, you have all this like ready cards to face up against the boss monster, but if you don't know which one you're gonna face, then you're wrecked, you know what I mean? They're all different. Okay, so unaffected by all earth and water equipped cards and all water summon cards. Flip a coin. If heads, plus 30 more damage to earth and water knights. Wow. You guys hear that background music? That's pretty intense. Like, that's really powerful. So yeah, you gotta be ready, because if you lose up against this, you're gonna be pushed back 3 tiles, and then it's your opponent's turn. And then this, I've already explained it in the future videos, but this one would get discarded. You have to shuffle the remaining boss monsters and then put the next one down. And if you do not defeat all 4, like if you lose to all 4 of them, you lose the entire game. But the first person to defeat the boss monster is the winner. And that's it, guys. That is all the cards in the different types of cards in the game. You are also going to find these cards in there. But these are just place markers, okay? This is just where you could put these anywhere on the field, and you just put your support deck on top of that. Then your support discard, monster deck, and then your starter. So you put that at the beginning, and that's where you start the game. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's going to be it. Like I said, I've already created the entire walkthrough of the game. I just needed to make sure I made this video first so that you guys understood the cards before actually setting up the game. Alright guys, so I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys enjoy the game. I know there's a lot to it now when you initially look at this, but believe me, everyone who has played the game picks it up right away, and after the first game they start strategizing for the next one. Okay guys, this was a passion project of mine that took me almost 2 years to create. As you can see, there's the games, there's the cards, everything I'm showing you guys right here. I appreciate every last one of you that are interested in it. Please go ahead, feel free to leave some comments down below. I do read every single one of them, trust me. So yeah guys, I'll see you guys out in Dallas, and in the future I'll see you guys in Long Beach. And if you guys ever want to visit our shop in Riverside, California, I will be here. If you guys happen to have any of these cards, I will gladly sign them for you if you want. I'll sign your booklet, I'll sign your promo cards, I'll do whatever you guys want. And look forward to future expansions, guys, because this game is gonna continue growing. Take care and peace.